She was left to die, alone on a world that devoured everything, abandoned by the very people who called her weak. But when the monsters came, she was not alone anymore, because humans were there, and humans don't abandon anyone. Before we start, please like and subscribe, because this is the story of a girl who was left for dead, and the humans who taught her to live. The world was called Draath Prime. To most, it was uninhabitable, a fractured wasteland where storms split the skies in violet fire and the ground itself writhed with creatures older than memory. Its jungles crawled with fanged beasts, its rivers ran thick with toxins, its nights screamed with predators that had never known fear. To the Zathari, a proud, cold-blooded race of scaled humanoids, it was a place of exile. When a child was deemed weak, dishonorable, or unworthy, they were brought here and left behind. The belief was simple: the strong survive, the weak are consumed, and the Zathari bloodline is purer for it. On the 64th day of the storm season, they left a girl there. Her name was Sarah. She was barely 16 cycles old, her scales pale and thin, her frame fragile compared to the others of her brood. She had failed the trials of flame, faltered in the test of blades, and for this, her clan deemed her unworthy. Her mother did not even look back as the dropship rose into the storm. Sarah stood in the mud, alone, clutching nothing but the thin cloak they had thrown at her feet. Around her, Draath Prime screamed with the howls of unseen beasts, and she knew in her bones that she would not live to see another dawn. The first night nearly proved her right. She hid in the hollow of a tree, trembling as something vast and many-legged stalked past, its eyes glowing amber in the storm. She dared not breathe, dared not move, as its claws scraped the bark inches from her face. Only when it passed did she weep silently, curling into herself against the cold. By the second night, hunger gnawed at her. She had no weapon, no fire, no skill. She stumbled through the jungle, desperate for fruit, only to vomit when she bit into something toxic. Her vision blurred. She collapsed in the mud, certain that this was where her body would remain. But fate had other plans. The sound of engines split the storm. Through the haze of her failing vision, Sarah saw it. A battered dropship, human in design, crash-landing across the ridge. Fire tore through the treetops as the vessel slammed into the mud, sparks bursting like dying stars. Her people had abandoned her, but the stars had delivered something else. Humans. They were soldiers, she realized later. Marines. A squad caught in a gravity well, pulled down into Draath Prime's death world by the storm. Their vessel was broken, their supplies scattered, their uplink severed. They were stranded. Sarah crawled to them, half-conscious, collapsing at the feet of a tall man in battered armor. His visor lifted, revealing a scarred face, eyes sharp but not unkind. "Jesus," he muttered, kneeling. "Kid, you're burning up." He barked orders and others gathered. A woman with eyes like ice, a medic pulling out supplies, another soldier scanning the jungle with a heavy rifle. They spoke fast, their words strange, but their hands were gentle. Cool water touched her lips. Medicine burned through her veins. For the first time since her exile, Sarah felt safe. The humans could have left her. She was alien, unknown, weak. But they didn't. Because humans didn't abandon children, not even alien ones. Days turned to weeks. The Marines repaired what they could of their vessel, but Draath Prime allowed no escape. Each night, storms howled. Each day, monsters prowled. The humans built fires, set traps, carved shelter from stone. And Sarah stayed with them. At first, she was a burden. Too weak to fight, too clumsy to hunt, but the humans didn't cast her aside. They taught her, patiently, stubbornly. "Grip it tighter," the scarred man said, guiding her hand on a rifle. "Don't breathe fast. Wait. The moment comes to you." "Eat slow," the medic told her, handing her rations. Small bites. You keep it down better. Listen, the scout whispered in the night. Hear the jungle. It always warns you before it kills you. Piece by piece, Sarah learned. She learned to sharpen sticks into spears, to find the fruit that did not sicken, to light fire with stone. She learned to shoot, not with panic, but with patience. And the first time she killed a beast, a snapping reptile that lunged from the underbrush, the Marines cheered for her. No one had ever cheered for her before. Weeks bled into months. The squad dwindled. One by one, humans fell, to wounds, to sickness, to the merciless jaws of Draath Prime's monsters. They buried their dead in silence, marking graves with scavenged steel. But Sarah did not break. She grew. Her body hardened. Her hands steadied. Her eyes no longer darted with fear, but scanned with caution. By the time the last two Marines stood, their strength failing, Sarah was no longer the frightened girl who had been left to die. She was their equal. And when the rescue beacon finally pierced the storm, when ships broke through to recover survivors, Sarah stood among the humans, rifle slung across her back, scales scarred but gleaming in the firelight. The Zathari who had abandoned her would not have recognized her. But the humans, they smiled, because they knew. She was one of them now. That was how an abandoned girl survived a world of monsters. Not because of strength, not because of destiny, but because humans refused to let her die. If that story moved you, don't forget to like, subscribe, and tell us where you're watching from. Because humanity's story is far from over.